Hello, dear students. I got many chances to meet you one line, and in my last classes, I talk about the great leader of our country, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, and then I talk to you about the another great personality, Nelson Mandela. And you know that you have been prescribed a text, and there are 15 units. You have to read out the text. And in my last classes, most of the times I took the class on English grammar, especially on articles, and then voice or right from verse or narration. Okay, but I think it's my duty to teach you some of the lessons or from various units, because it's our responsibility to complete the textbooks, especially being the students of first year. You have to read the text, and you should try your best to know the text very attentively. And to do good well in the exam, you have to be good in both sides, that is in English grammar, and the other is in, I think, first paper. And my belief is that if you become good in English languages, and if you can increase your stock of words, you would be able to face any kinds of questions. And you know, in the first paper, at first you have to face a passage given by the board from your text, and from the first passage you have to make the answers of 5 MCQs. That should be the question number 1A. And then in question number 1B, you have to face some open-ended, that is about the passage. You have to answer 5 questions. And in the second passage, you also have to write flowchart. And from the third passage, you have to make the summary of the given passage from your text. And so all the passages should be given from your text, and it's my suggestion that you have to parse the text and read word for word. And my belief is that you will do well in the exam if you read the text. And so in the first unit, you know, the name of the first unit is People or Institutions Making History. And in my last 2 classes, I think I talked to you about our great leader, great personalities. And I think the greatest Bengalis, the Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. And then in the listen to, you have got the chance to know about another great leader, Nelson Mandela, who is the great leader of Africa. And now today, just I would like to talk to you about 2 women, 2 personalities. One is Valentina Tereshkova, and the other is Kalpana Chawla. You know, Valentina Tereshkova is a Russian lady, and I think she achieved the prestige to be the first woman who traveled all over the world as an astronaut. And you know that just she was born in a working class family, and her father was a tractor driver, and her mother was a worker of a garments factory, I think. And then just she had an ambition that she had to be an astronaut in course of time. And before this time, just I'd like to say, she was born in 1937, and when she was 8 years old, she was sent to school, and just she went to school just for 8 years. In 1945, she left the school and joined in a garments factory, I think, at textile, and then he got herself admitted in a flying club where she practiced how to learn jump in the air, and she many times she did it. And then In 1961, Russia first sent Yuri Gagarin in the space, and then the government of Russia thought just to send a women there, and that's why they asked for the applications from the interested persons, and I think nearly 400 applicants applied just to contest to be the astronauts, and Valentina Tereshkova was selected for the first time, selected, and then they took the decision she should be sent to the space, and before this time she needed to take some training, and she also trained nearly a year. She practiced how to jump in the air. She practiced how to live in the space, and she also practiced just how to adjust taking, I think, energy tablets, and then it was decided to send her to the space, and I think she was in 16 February 1962, Valentina Tereshkova was selected for his projection from among then 400 applicants. Tereshkova underwent and spacecraft engineering, 120 parachute jumps and pilot training MiG 15-20 fighters. Since the successful launch of the spacecraft Vostok 5 June 1963, Tereshkova began preparing for her own flight. And on the morning of 16 June 1963, Tereshkova and her backup cosmonaut Solovhania were dressed in their spacesuits and taken to the space shuttle launch pad by a bus. After completing her communication and life support checks, she was sealed inside the Vostok 6 and finishing 2-hour countdown. Vostok 6 launched faultlessly. Although Tereshkova experienced nausea and physical discomfort for much of the flight, she orbited the Earth 48 times and almost 3 days in space. With a single flight, she logged more flight time than she combined times all American astronauts who had flown before that date. Tereshkova also maintained a flight log and took photographs of the horizon, which were later used to identify aerosol layers within the atmosphere. Vostok 6 was the final Vostok flight was launched 2 days after Vostok 5, which carried Valery Vyskov into a similar orbit for 5 days. Landing 3 hours after Tereshkova, the two vessels approached each other within 5 kilometers at one point, and from space Tereshkova communicated with Vyskov and Soviet leader Khrushchev by radio. And so she became a successful astronaut who traveled in the air for the first time, and she made the history. And much later in 1977, Tereshkova earned a doctorate in engineering from Zhezhkiv Air Force Academy. After she turned to politics during the Soviet regime, she became one of the president members of the Supreme Soviet, and the president Supreme Soviet governed the Russia, and she earned the credit to be the member of the committee. Now this living legend is a member in the lower house of the Russian legislature. On her 7th birthday, when she was invited by Russian Prime Minister Vladimir Putin, she expressed her desire to fly to Mars, even if for a one-way trip. And I think just successfully she completed her journey, and still today the legendary woman is respected by all the people of Russia. Even Vladimir Putin, now the president of Russia, would like to fulfill her desire, and though she knew that it was a one-way trip, she would like to make a journey for the Mars, and I think the Russian government would try to fulfill her dream. And then just here you will get to know about another woman, Kalpana Chawla, But I think just I would like to complete, I would like to talk to you about Kalpana Chawla in my next class. Thank you all.